Welcome to another episode of Just Ask Cher Live. You know what I'm looking for right now. My timer, of course, because it wouldn't be my kind of show without the timer. And as you guys may have noticed, this timer is at 30 minutes. Yes, because I'm going to keep it at 30 minutes or less hotter and fresher than your fastest favorite pizza, plus more gems that you can use to develop a powerful online presence for work, at work, for business, to get more business. This is what this show is all about. So I am broadcasting live from my brand new place, so you can hear there's a bit of an echo. So still working out the whole studio situation. And in the meantime, I'm having a lot of fun with it. But you know what really helps when you have timers? When you actually press go on the timer. So here we go, 30 minutes. And today's episode, I am super excited about it because most of my clients, when I start working with them, the one thing that they are not when they start is being intentional with their content. So they're putting content out there, which is important for visibility, because visibility plus credibility equals what? Opportunity. And they're putting it out there, and there's a lot of noise out there. But how do you make content that sticks? Content that converts? And hello, Chris, who is in the chat right now saying, hey, congrats on the new place. I am excited about that. So thank you very much. And he's watching from YouTube. And I am, in the meantime, in between time, going to check to make sure I'm broadcasting in all the right places. And of course, I would love to know for you guys, are you team live or team replay? And if we have never met before, my name is Cher Jones, and I am a social media trainer that specializes in helping corporate professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs serving corporate and teaching them how to develop a powerful and influential, credible, personal brand or digital presence on LinkedIn and anywhere else where it makes sense as far as social media goes for work, at work. So I'm teaching you guys how to use it. And like I said, in today's episode, as I see that I am broadcasting, that's awesome, Team Live. Hey to everybody. Again, it is all about intentional content because I want to make sure that while you spend time online, you're being wise about the content you create or the content that you share so you can actually get what you want with it. Because the one thing I can say is content strategies, when you have a strategy, they actually work. They actually convert into opportunities. And I'm going to jump in live to see the comments right now to see what you guys are up to. I appreciate the comments that are already happening right now. Team Live, Team Replay. And where are you from? Where are you at? Where are you watching from? That's super important to me. And let's see. All right. So we've got Stephanie, hello from New York, from Harlem in New York. Alexis is watching. Bonnie is Team Live for me today. All you Team Livers, I love it. And also I see Chris over on YouTube. And let's see who else is there. All right, so you guys keep streaming in right now. This is exciting stuff, of course, for me. It's always exciting. So thank you for joining in on the show. And Summers from Texas. All y'all people, hope you guys are staying safe, masked up when you're outside, because this is not the time to play. I'll tell you that much. And we all know this. And so again, today is all about intentional content as well. Stay tuned for my scroll stopper. That sounded really cool. It sounded like I was like, Monster Truck Sunday, scroll stoppers. Well, my scroll stopper is dope. And it really is remixing somebody else's content. I kind of do that in my scroll stoppers. And if you're not sure what a scroll stopper is, it's anything that stops your thumb. So anything that stops my thumb, I break it down why it worked. And in my Tap That App 2-piece segment, I just bought in on this new technology. So if you're thinking about producing a podcast, publishing a podcast, putting out a podcast, whatever it is with your podcast, if you want to be intentional about getting leads and perhaps down the road having insert sponsored ads and being able to control that as opposed to recording it right into your segments, you're going to love this deal. And it's a LTD, which is a lifetime deal. So stay tuned for that. That's over near the end of the show. So stay tuned. All right. Well, it's 25 in, and I want to make sure that I get to everything I want to get to. And like I said, today's all about intentional content. And the one thing I've been scared about, I've been testing my tech all day, testing my connection, is my connection. I have a feeling this broadcast is not as clear as we're used to seeing it. So, I increased the upload speed and all that good stuff, but we'll see how it's going. But in the meantime, it does not matter because we are going to get down to the goods about intentional content. So I want to ask you guys right now, are you truly being intentional about the content that you're creating right now? And what I mean by that is not just posting something that, follows along with your expertise, or if you're developing a personal brand, following in along suit with that. I know most of my entrepreneurial watchers, you guys are probably more intentional with your content, but I find a lot of corporate professionals, corporate leaders, subject matter experts, they are not necessarily thinking with intention when it comes to their content. But no matter whether you are a leader, professional, entrepreneur, I'm going to make sure by the time you're done this show, I have a series of questions that I want you to think about, as well as a challenge to get the intentions flowing. So that's what this show is all about today. So stay tuned. If you do not have a pen and paper, oh wait. I'm serious. I'll wait, because this is the time that you need to be writing stuff down. So in the meantime, I'm going to be checking. Let's see here. Oh, Jamila says, yes, it's clear. Thank you, Jamila. I've been stressed out about this all day. I've been testing it in Facebook. Yes, Stephanie, I did say podcast for tips. You wait for this tech. If you're thinking about a podcast, this is like game changing. I was so excited about it. And I've bought other podcast tech before, but this I'm even more excited about. And Florence says, yes, I talk about mental health and I try to be intentional, which is awesome, Florence. That is so important. Let's see, it's clear. All right, everybody's saying it's clear. This is lovely. Okay, so thank you guys so much for checking in on that. And let's dive right in to my intentional content list. So you guys, you really need to pay attention to this, and I want you to be very intentional about this. So one of the things that, the first thing that I want you to think about when it comes to being intentional with your content is picking one goal. What a lot of people are doing is thinking about so many different things that they want to accomplish. But what I want you guys to focus on is one goal over the next 6 weeks. Like, what is it you need to make sure is happening in your life? What do you need to get done? Do you need to make sure, for some people who are in jobs right now, you need to make sure that people know what it is you do and the right people know who you are and the expertise that is worth keeping on the team or being put onto teams that are sticking around. Because this is real talk right now. We've got so many people who are, as we go through this crazy time where jobs are in jeopardy and people are, at the top, they're making triage decisions of who's going to stay and who's going to be furloughed, who's going to be laid off, who's going to be whatever. And right now it's all about showing your value. And so what are the things that people, what do you need to accomplish? So like picking that one goal. Is it making sure the right people know your name? Or is it making sure the right clients know what it is you can do for them, right? So going over from the entrepreneurial side or even in the sales side, picking that one goal, what do you need to accomplish? Maybe for you, a goal, and I was talking to a client of mine yesterday, is ensuring that one of her clients, making sure that she's converted them into increasing services. So looking at your existing clients and saying, well, how can I work with you more to make sure that there is more coming in? So that is incredibly important. And I want you to remember that this goal doesn't have to be epic. It has to be something that you can accomplish. So again, converting a client, maybe drawing in new leads, maybe building a list, maybe getting the right attention for the right project, the right team. Maybe you are making a splash with a new team. Maybe you've been amalgamated onto a different team as there's restructuring to make sure people know who you are. Especially right now, it's so easy to get lost and become a name and an email address. Right now, you've got to be more than that. So it is about bringing attention to who you are, the experience you bring to the table, and the type of person you are to work with and how you can help. So keep that in mind, right? And this kind of leads right into it. I've kind of touched on it, but it's who needs to see this content. So whose attention do you need to get? Because you need to be very aware of, based off of the goal you want to accomplish, the content has to help you achieve that goal. And then you need to make sure that you have the audience that you are connected to, that they will actually see it. And that's very important. So you need to make sure you're connected with that audience. So if there are members of a leadership team, that you need to make sure that they see it, or members of the new team that you're joining, or your clients, or potential partnerships, who needs to see this content, and they need to make sure that they're in your network, number one. And number two, which brings me to point number three, you need to start engaging now before you even start creating that content. So there's no excuses. This intentional content strategy starts now. And what I mean by start engaging now is being intentional with the people that you need to connect with. Not only are you connecting, but you're engaging with them, because the algorithm works like this. You engage with people, it is more likely that they will see your content, no matter what network you're watching on, whether it is Facebook, whether it is Instagram, wherever you are, LinkedIn, of course, wherever you are, it does not matter. And you need to make sure that you know your target audience, as Bonnie says. I love that. Hey, Bertina. Hello, Team Live. Thank you so much for joining me as well. And Chris says, my content is not intentional yet. I have to invest the time to plan out what I really want people to know and produce a content schedule around it. Yes, Chris, that is exactly it. And that's incredibly important. So this is where I want you guys to think about. And really, Chris, and everybody else watching, start with one goal. Don't worry about anything else right now. Start with one goal. What is that one goal that you need to accomplish? And think about content, because once you get this intentional content train rolling, then it becomes much easier to build out other content. But if you start around one goal and thinking about the content that you need to build for that one goal, and that will give you momentum that you need. So I want everybody to be thinking about that. And again, that audience, that investment in engagement is incredibly important. So I want you to make sure that even as you're even concepting what it is you're going to create, we're going to get into that in just a second, you already started to engage with your audience, because the likelihood of them seeing your content is absolutely contingent on the fact that you've already been building that relationship online. So what is, for those of you who are new to the idea of engagement, what does that mean? That means commenting, sending them DMs, checking out their profile. And if you are able to, for example, especially if they're not very active, if you are able to endorse them for a skill that they know they have, that's a great way to start that open lines of communication. It could also be something where you're sending them a voice note or checking in on them. So this is well before you're saying, hey, look at my content. You are setting the lines up to increase the chances. So Janice is also Team Live. This is awesome. And Bonnie says the algorithm rewards consistency. Amen to that. I absolutely agree with you there. And okay, so once you start engaging now, what's the need to know? And here's what I mean by that is, What do they need to know you know? What is it they need to know that they will find value in? So that should be what's leading your content strategy, quite frankly. So you got to start thinking about what it is everyone else needs to know that you bring to the table, the value you bring to the team, the thought leadership, the expertise, the things that will help you achieve your goal. So going back to point number one, what's the goal? And then what is it that people need to know? Because this is where you can think about it. Are there tips? Are there resources? Are there strategies, very specific strategies or frameworks that people need to be reminded that you know, or that you deep dive on, so that you can, by sharing some of this content, people can better understand that you are entrenched in this information? Maybe it's a leadership style that you want people to understand that you have, because that's also incredibly important as well, because our online presence, our digital presence, especially at the corporate level and even beyond, from the entrepreneurial level or wherever you are right now, we want to create a presence that encourages people to want to either work for or with us. So one of the reasons that helps people make decisions is that they are confident in your credibility. So they're confident in your ability to do. And the way that we showcase our ability is often through content. And if, for those of you who are not necessarily content creators, you can curate the right content. And in fact, stay tuned for my scroll stopper, because this is a great way to piggyback on somebody else's content. So just plugging that up, that's coming soon. All right. And so what is it? What's the need to know? So if there is something where you are trying to attract a certain client, or if you want your company to know what skills that you have that they rely on, maybe it's tips around those skills. Maybe it's about stories of what works now in 2020. Now that's a good one right there, because it's about why that one is really good. In fact, and I just think of these things as I talk because I can't help it, but looking at the fact that you can all of a sudden make sure it's up to date by just saying what's working now in 2020 in the world of this, or doing this or that. And that immediately makes your information relevant, top of mind, and immediate. And the more immediate your information is the more it's saying that you know your stuff. And that's incredibly important. So once you know what's the need to know, what they need to know, now you have to consider is you need to pick your primary format, because this is not a one and done exercise, especially when you're creating intentional content. All of my clients, the one thing they have to do first is pick their format. So for them, it could be a podcast, which again, stay tuned for that podcast tip, that podcast software that I'm going to talk about. Could be a one-off video, it could be a blog post, it could be a video, a blog post, a document series, whatever it is. Pick your primary one. And the reason why I want you to pick one first, this is the one that most of the effort is going to be poured into. So here's what I mean by that. You are going to pick your format that you love the most, because it's easy to start there. And this is the one where you're going to dial in and you're going to really invest the time to create a powerful, relevant piece of content. Because what I'm seeing right now is a lot of people are not being intentional enough with their content. And there is so much content out there right now with everybody, trying to get the attention of others, plus all the news and all the other stuff, the political stuff, everything. There's a lot of content. So how do you break the barrier, the content barrier, is by producing something that is so sound, so well done. But when you do that, it also pays in dividends. And that, my friends, is through the remix. So how can you now take that big piece of content. So whether it's a well thought out video, research it into a blog post, research it into you've researched something, you've created a podcast out of it. Maybe it's a series. It depends on what you want to build. Now, how can you remix it? So this is where the gift of awesome, well-produced content keeps on giving, is you're going to create at least 5 remixes. So you're going to pull out different things and isolate it and create different pieces of smaller content that you've already created with this big piece of content. So that investment piece will keep on giving and will allow you to keep this topic top of mind by isolating pieces, because not everybody's going to see that powerhouse content, but you can always link back to it. So that could be sharing a clip of it. That could be pulling out a quote from it or a stat from it. That could be turning a blog post into a video script. Do you see where I'm going with this? There's so much. Once you invest in one good piece of content, you remix it and show different angles from it. And that is, my friends, where you can really leverage the work that you put into it and continue the conversation. And then the other piece that you want to do is also remixing may also include, well, who else's platform can I get on? So if somebody else has a show, if somebody else has a live show, a podcast where they have guests, where you can now say, here's what I've written, here's some of the content. Now let me jump on your show and talk about it more. And this gives you another level of authority around it, where you already have proven content and proven that you know what you're talking about. See what I'm saying? Now, before I give you tip number 6, actually, let me do it. I have one more tip for you. Number 7, let me move the timer just a bit. What's your DM strategy? So the other thing that I want to make sure you have for intentional content is your DM strategy. So here's what I mean by that. Is not everybody who is on number 2, your point number 2, who needs to see this is actually going to see it unless you grab their attention and let them know. So what I'm going to suggest you do is dive into your DMs and send people voice notes and say something. And I was giving this advice to friends last night about their new podcast. And I was saying, here's one thing that you can do is you can send them a direct message using a voice note saying, hey, I thought about you when I was writing point number 2. Here's a link to the article. Let me know when what you think about it, or let me know in the comments what you think. Or again, when I was recording this video, I thought of you. So this way people will see it. And because usually what I get as a really poor DM strategy is, hey, check out my new blog post and let me know what you think in the comments. And it feels like such a cut and paste that it doesn't feel good to me. But when you intentionally reach out and intentionally touch base and feels like, you know, you've got this human touch going on, it's a big deal. And so it feels more authentic to me. So what I'm going to do right now is jump into the comments to see what you guys are saying. And Bertina, let's see. No cold pitches, right? No ice cold pitches. No one wants to be left out in the cold. No one wants to feel cold, right? Stephanie says, woo, now more than ever, you must work smarter too. Absolutely. Not just brute hard work only. You have to, it's hard work is important, but it's tricky to balance, to master. Excuse me, guys. But it pays off. Excuse me. But it pays off in the end. And Denisha says, yes, makes sense. Share what you already know. Absolutely. And if this is not the right time, let me see. I'll get back to you, Ritz. I didn't see your top comment. Love the remix, repurpose. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely, Bonnie. And yes, so these are the things that you need to know. And let's see what Chris says. Small clips from a larger piece make great teasers to grab people's attention and bring them to the longer piece. That's what I'm saying, Chris. That's what I'm saying. So you want to take advantage of that. And So what I'm going to do is here, I have 6 minutes left. So I just want to remind you guys, when it comes to having an intentional content strategy that helps you get what you want to make sure you're picking the right goal. Just one goal to surround this content around. Just say, stay micro, stay focused, right? Remember, you need to keep in mind who needs to see that content. You haven't decided the content yet in order for them to, in order for this content to make sense. So you have to have that audience in mind so you know who you're creating it for and what is it they need to see. And then start engaging with that audience as you are creating the content. Don't wait to just share that content right away. You got to engage because they won't see it if you don't engage early. As well, what's the need to know? And this now comes into the content creation phase where what does that audience need to know that you know, right? What's the need to know? What's the value proposition? What is it? How can you help them? How can you show off your knowledge, especially making it relevant to 2020, as I gave that a tip before? And then pick your primary format. Start with the type of content you love to create first and pour your heart and soul into that content. Make it awesome. Make it as awesome without, making it so epic that it's never going to get done. Make it good. And if you think about it in the mindset of service, it will get done. And then how can you remix it? So once you invested in that primary piece, how can you remix it? How can you also leverage it to get on other people's platforms? And finally, make sure you have a DM strategy so the right people see it. And that goes back to point number 2, who needs to see it? Leverage those voice notes. And there you go. That's my intentional content strategy. I know this stuff works. This is how you get what you want with content. So let me know, guys, what do you think? Does this work for you? Is this something that you're going to invest time, energy, and effort in? I would love to know. So leave your comments right now. And in the meantime, I'm going to move right over because I've got 4 minutes. Let me move up my timer so it looks nice on the screen. I'm going to move up to 4 minutes to talk about my scroll stopper because today's scroll stopper was dope. Is that actually last week's scroll stopper? Because for those of you who pay attention, I moved last week. And so I found it last week and it's a goodie. So let's dive in right now to my scroll stopper so you guys can see what's up. And today's scroll stopper is brought to you by Fabio Marirama, and he is also from Ontario, Canada, like myself. And he is one of the top 40 under 40 featured Forbes. He helps business owners and thought leaders scale their content and convert their brand online. So this is what he posted this week, and I'll read it to you guys quickly. It doesn't matter how amazing your content is. Hey, how relevant is this, right? But anyways, back to his content. If your headline sucks, nobody will read it. So this is very helpful for you guys. But if you want to write better headlines that engage your audience, this is for you. Steve Rayson, along with the BuzzSumo team, had done a brilliant research for B2B content. They analyzed over 10 million articles shared on LinkedIn. The data reveals what resonated most based on shares. Sometimes it's better not to reinvent the wheel, but implement what's proven to convert. Focus on your headlines. You'll find leads and better results. Stay fab. And then he asked at the bottom, did anything surprise you? So basically what this piece of content was, and I'll bring it over here so you guys can see it, was based off of this article by BuzzSumo. So they had a bunch of little stats, not to disparage, a bunch of stats, and here's what was done with that. And let me just share. So basically, Fab, what he did was he created this, I'm going to see if I can grab the actual share on LinkedIn. Bear with me just a sec. Whoops. And basically what he did is he created a document that allowed, basically, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting a little distracted because I'm trying to get his actual post up for you. And almost got it. All right, good. Let's go. New life, new. So here's the document right here. So basically, as you guys saw in the article, this is what he is showing. And here's what I liked about it is he basically hijacked other people's work, but he gave them credit for it. And if we go right to the end, you see how it says comment below and share, and they have his name, but he's giving them actual credit. So he's never taking the credit for something. And I think that's incredibly important. So let me just share some of the tips that I wanted to share with you guys about this. So his lead explains the why and offers a tip. So that's what I really liked about that in the beginning is he's really showing why. I'm going to pause the timer because I am not going to make time today, but I will keep it quick. So he offers a tip. So this is where his thought leadership comes into play. So he's sharing somebody else's content, but he's saying that this is incredibly important because headlines matter on LinkedIn, and here's some research that suggests why. And he created a document using other people's work, and that's fine as long as you make sure you take my next point where you are crediting the person, you're attributing the rights to the author and the organization. But he created that document, that graphic document, which is pretty nice on the eyes. And he did not, and this is really important. If you're going to do something like this, don't slap your brand all over it as if you created it yourself. Because I've seen that done, and that's where this stuff gets a little tricky. When you look back at that document, you'll see that it was not rebranded, but he did add his name at the end. And also, he had a call to action and a name mention. So that's where he mentioned his name, but he made sure he's like comment, like, and share as well. He asked, did anything surprise you? So that's really important. That encouraged the comments. And the final tip that, again, at the end of the document, he gave full attribution. So not only did he give a link, he gave the link to the study. He again credited it to BuzzSumo and the author. And that's how this can work. But here's why this is such a brilliant strategy is because of the fact that he's the one sharing it. He remixed it. He created it into something of his own and shared it with his audience. So they're getting it from him and not the author. And this was an older study. So this is a 2017 study, but a lot of the information is still relevant. And so that I thought was brilliant. And it's a way to shortcut your way to creating content that serves your audience while making sure that you were honoring the original creators and the original source material. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I thought it was pretty dope. So I'm going to check in now on the comments to see what you guys have to say about that. Yeah, Chris is there with me. Give credit. Whitney's here. Thanks for showing up, Whitney. Richard says, I'm definitely incorporating the tips to campaign I'm working on right now. I love it. And voice notes definitely make a difference. I couldn't agree more, Stephanie. They do make a difference. They do help you to create those relationships. So now I got to jump because you know I'm already over time. Tap that app, 2 Ps. And these are always my favorite apps that I absolutely love, right? So this app this week, I was really excited about it. And before I head over to that app, remember, just follow, just share that hashtag, whether you are on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Follow that hashtag. You will find more just share goodness, and you won't miss as many posts, if any at all. All right, so tab that app, guys. This is called Bcast, and it is a podcast hosting service for marketers. And what I love about it is it's being more intentional about this whole podcast hosting thing. And here's why I think it's incredibly important. And I want you guys to understand that not only is it a host, so you can host all your podcasts on this server, and then it sends out to all the places where you are hosting your podcast or you are sharing your podcast. So the iTunes, the all the different places. My brain is running blank, but Google Podcasts, all that stuff. It's all over the place. We'll send it there in one click. And then what it also does is, and let's get my face on camera for just a second. So what it also does, and this is what really excited me, is it has an opt-in feature so that you can get your listeners to opt in to the list so that they can be notified of new podcasts, and also you can do any downloads. And then the other thing that was really important, especially for podcasters who are thinking long-term, who are thinking at some point they're going to monetize their podcast with advertising opportunities, it does insert ads. So rather than recording them live into your podcast, it will insert the ads into your podcast, and then you can have a rotation where you could be selling ads based off of a time period, and then someone new could get that spot because you can schedule them in. And I thought that was awesome. So you could put an ad at the beginning, the middle, and the end, wherever you want. And then especially I find that a lot of podcasters, if they're promoting something, especially for themselves, if they're promoting a launch of something or an event that they're speaking at, it may not be relevant in 6 months and all of a sudden you've dated your podcast. This allows you to edit all of that. And what's really cool is this is also a podcasting service or podcast hosting service. So you can, I think it's like, for the price I can tell you about in just a second, 50,000 downloads a month, a terabyte worth of storage. It's awesome. So if you go to Bcast FM, you can check out the details there. But I suggest you head over to appsumo.com. That's where I'm always buying long-term deals. So LTD is a lifetime deal on AppSumo. They have it right now. It's $79 lifetime deal for podcast hosting. So that's huge. And then they have other credit opportunities, but that $79 for lifetime hosting on podcasting is incredible. Plus all those other features that I was talking about. And there's so many more features. I had to pick it up, and I already have a podcast hosting service that I invested in, also on AppSumo. But this one just seemed really smart, and especially if you're going to be intentional about growing your audience and communicating with your audience. So I just wanted to let you know about that. And now, so just head over to Bcast FM, and again, check out AppSumo, appsumo.com for that information. And that's funny. When he's like, I cannot help but notice the nails, the blue nails. I know. I'm always trying to do something a little different because I talk with my hands, so that's always important too. But hope this helps you guys. And if there are any questions, I will catch it at the end of the show because I wanted to make sure that I at least kind of stay on time, which I didn't. I'm 12 minutes over time, but that's okay. It's okay. Good information needs time to breathe, right, my friends? So anyways, stay tuned for the next episode. I wanted to let you know if you do have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And this Friday, so if you're watching this the week of August the 3rd, on Friday, I am going to be on a First Fridays, one of the first virtual events for First Fridays. There's one out of Toronto, but it's going to connect with all these different First Fridays. So I'm going to be talking about branding. So look out for I'll be sharing links to that so you can go and sign up and watch. And my time is up, friends, as it was pretty much a little while ago, but that's okay. So stay tuned every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got more action for you, more love for you, more teaching you about how you can brand yourself and develop this credible and influential presence online. And if you have any questions, thinking about coaching, think you need training for your team, your organization, just hit a girl up. I can help you out. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.